Dorothy? I brought that fledgling you asked to see. Is there anything else you need before I leave for the day, or... Oh, Lolo. Always so helpful. You can show the fledgling in and clock out for the night. See you tomorrow evening. Okay, sit down wherever you'd like. Make yourself comfortable. You're part of the team now, after all. All right, and see you tomorrow. Now then, it's nice to officially meet you. My name's Dorothy. What's your name? Snack Pack. Is that a nickname or... Oh, it's what Taylor's been calling you, huh? How unique. Well, that name certainly has a lot of character. I don't know if it really fits you, though. Especially now that you and Taylor are estranged. Let's see. I think we'll still call you SP. But instead of standing for Snack Pack, it'll mean so precious. Because that's what you are. You, as a fledgling, are so precious. Not only to the VSSCC, but also to vamps everywhere as we move forward together. But look at me. I'm getting ahead of myself. You've been cleaned up, given some new clothes, and you've had a chance to feed properly. I am sure you have some questions for me, and I'm assuming that we may need to correct some misinformation your sire may have given you. Oh, yes, about your sire. I'm sure Taylor made it very clear to you that she wasn't interested in continuing a sire-progeny relationship. Yes, I begged her not to leave without saying goodbye to you. It just didn't seem fair. Well, okay, let me start at the beginning of that. Oh, yes. Tay-Tay contacted me to meet with her. She said she had something she wanted to discuss. We met yesterday, just about an hour before sunrise, and she begged me to take over as your acting sire. Are you sure you want to know what she said? Tay-Tay has a hard time keeping all her thoughts to herself. She's a fiery one with big personality. She's not always the kindest in how she words things. Well, if you're sure, she did say it about you after all. Okay, well, she said she didn't want the responsibility of being your sire, and that she didn't want you anymore. Then she told me where to find you in the hotel room, and, well, that's when we brought you here, got you cleaned up. And now here we are. Oh, don't make that face. I told you that she wasn't very kind. But really, this will all be for the best. You looked like she was starving you. How often was she letting you feed from her? Yeah, that sounds like Tay-Tay. Always ready to feed, but never willing to do the feeding. Well, Now that you have more access to vamp blood, your transformation should be seamless. You will be a full-fledged vamp soon. And we'll get to find a purpose for you here at the VSSCC. You won't be doomed to a life of being a wandering vampire like Taylor. Oh, you know Taylor. She was desperate to get rid of you. She tried to get in contact with her old acting sire. But she's out of town right now, and so, instead of waiting, she turned to me. And how could I turn down a vamp in need? Especially because the VSSCC is here to create a new standard of living for all vampires. How much did Taylor tell you about us as a business? I thought not. I'm sure she tried to fill your head with all sorts of ideas about what we do here at the VSSCC. But I can assure you, everything that she's told you is just factually incorrect. However, unfortunately, there are some like Taylor who are a bit stuck in the past. I suppose it would be advantageous to go back to the very beginning of things. While forever ago, the stars saw the earth, and they were jealous of the creatures that got to be together here. So they came down from the heavens and spread their magic throughout the earth. Those were the original Fae, and their magic caused all sorts of chaos to unfold. Thom comes from them, and you and I are creatures of pure Thom now. It wasn't long after that vampires came onto the scene. It's hotly debated how it came into being, so I won't bore you with any of those details. All you need to know for now is that vampires, well, we were the ruling class. We had civilizations built in our honor, and we were able to thrive in our nests. The mortals feared us. They wanted to be us. They were begging for it. But the original Fae weren't too happy with that. I mean, we were the perfect predators to the humans. Everything about us drew them in. And the vampire population started to get a bit out of control. The problem with being functionally immortal is that our numbers can grow really quickly. No one's dying, and lots of new, bright-eyed fledglings were being brought up. But the mortals had a very special place in the hearts of the Fae. Something about one of the princesses being a bleeding heart. And they didn't like that we had the potential to make them all extinct. Personally, I think that the Fae were just jealous. We could offer the mortals eternal life, a chance to start over as a more powerful being. I think we threatened them. The Fae had to rely on trickery, and the mortals grew apprehensive with dealing with them. And, well, the Fae are nothing if not jealous. And that's when the culling happened. Oh, Taylor did mention that. Good. I suppose she wasn't a complete lost cause as your sire then. The culling was a result of all that anger and jealousy the Fae harbored. They killed many of us, literally culling our numbers so we couldn't rise against them. and eliminating our ability to wipe out the mortals. And it was also the conception of the council, and all the new rules the vamps had to abide by. Well, 1. We can't leave a trace of our feedings. Your sire was a little messy when it came to this rule. Number 2. We can't turn mortals without proper clearance from the council or the governing bodies around us. Unfortunately, you being here is just another example of how Taylor tried to skirt around those rules. And number 3, we can't gather together as vampires. The Fae were once alone up there in the stars, and they wanted us to suffer just like they had. That was the cruelest of all. I mean, you have first-hand experience now as a fledgling. You quite literally need another vamp to survive. And yet, once you're a fully developed vampire, you're just supposed to go off by yourself? That doesn't seem very fair now, does it? In fact, it seems to be a little contrary to our design. So, you see, that brings us to now. In the modern world, the Fae have gone into hiding. They created Fairy, and they totally separated themselves from the world of mortals. Now, I'm not going to look at you and pretend that those rules don't have some purpose. Obviously, overfeeding has the potential to greatly limit our food source. So it makes sense to have some guidelines in place. And that's why we invented the VSSCC. We were all alone before its conception. And it gives us the chance to no longer have to hide what we are. So, if we make the VSSCC a success here, we can expand ourselves into the mortal realm. And then, we wouldn't have to be alone anymore. We could join together again, under the moon's light. And we could be a community once again. Think about it, SP. You wouldn't have to worry where you were going to get blood. You would have vamps all around who would happily teach you about your powers and what it means to be a vamp. You would never have to put up with a vamp who thinks that they're better than the rest of us. You understand. I knew you would. That dream, the dream of being together again, of creating a new order for vampires everywhere. This is why we do what we do here. And I think that you'll be a great fit to join our little growing family, so that we can move forward together. I'm just glad we were able to get to you before Taylor could spread too much of that vitriol. Some vamps are just so stuck in their ways. They don't see how our success has the benefit for all of us. But that's just the sad reality. Thankfully, you aren't like that. You're ready to move on and to move forward. So who cares about your old sire? She isn't your problem anymore. And you don't have to be alone. Now, it's been a long night. I am sure you're exhausted. The sun is already rising. So let's continue this conversation when you wake up. I'll show you over to your new room. Oh, an SP. I'm glad you're a part of my new family.